Refused to move with my teenage son to a different state after he got his best friend pregnant over Christmas. I 30F have a child who is 15 male, we'll call him Ollie, plus other children aged 2, 6, 9 and 11. As you can tell by my own age, I was teen parent. I was lucky and we married at 18, still married, healthy relationship, worked our way out of a very dire situation, graduated, started a trade etc., and we are comfortable, stable in all ways. This information is relevant. Ollie has been friends with this girl, we'll call her Bree, since he was 7 years old. Their family used to live in the same city as us and went to the same school, same friendship group. We know her parents and are long-distance friends ourselves, not close friends but say hello when the kids are on video chat. Had drinks together before. Bree's family moved to a very small town 3 states away due to rental affordability, no secret. We all have talked about the rising costs of everyday life. The cost of living in this city has risen, forcing many locals out. They moved because of that and for better job opportunities 18 months ago. Since then, Ollie has been begging for us to follow, giving us a sales pitch on cheaper housing, better paying jobs, none of which fit either of our professions, the whole works. We have said no because, well, no, but even if we wanted to, our other children are in school, sports and have friends here. Selling and buying another house, finding work outside of our skill set or having to learn new skills. Any normal adult would understand this, he does not. Well, fast forward to Christmas, Bree's family come back to our city for a holiday and the kids met up multiple times with each other. It was my understand that they were always with the other kids, but obviously not since Bree is pregnant, and I am certain it was on purpose. He has access to condoms. I don't care for opinions on that. My access was restricted and I had him. He has had sex ed from me, my husband, school. He knows damn well how babies are made and how not to have one. Ollie now wants me to move to be with her and the baby. It's confirmed. I've talked to her parents, and I said no. I don't feel I need a reason, but he asked. You're 15. We don't have any proof it's your child yet. I'm not moving us away from our lives and you aren't going alone until you're 18. We will do a DNA test, then we will look at parenting plans, and topped it off with a too bad, too sad. You made your bed, now you have to sleep in it. He took that back to Bree and now all communication between me and her parents has been cut. I'm a terrible person. My comments about the DNA test are disgusting and it's fueling my son's hate for me. He says I am keeping him from the love of his life and future baby, using my own successful relationship as proof it will work out. I actually don't even know if I am right or not. I'm just really upset and feel like my life I worked really hard for has been destroyed. Update 1. She is due September around the 22nd. So no, there is no option for abortion. I don't think that or adoption ever was. Ollie admitted it was on purpose last night. Apparently, it was Bree's idea first as a joke that turned into a plan together. Bree's parents will only pass messages through my son, and I have heard this for myself. I stood outside the door and listened to them tell him, tell you mother, insert info below, because I know I will just go off on her about that bullshit still. They are talking shit about me with my kid. They are appalled, I would think, that way of Bree when I have known her for more than half her life and do not wish to talk to me. I will not allow him to move out there alone. There are some past issues, such as Bree breaking up with him twice in the last 18 months because she found someone that she liked more her new town, around August and October last year, same boy, and when it ended, she came back to Ollie. Bree is a nice girl, but her behavior is toxic and has been since a child. Her mother and stepfather are nice, but the relationship is unstable. The house is chaos, 9 children combined, blended family, and 2/3 teens with serious mental health struggles. He would be leaving stability for chaos and no structure. I want a DNA test. I will not budge on that. I am close to cutting his contact totally at this point because they are only empowering him and reinforcing his behavior towards me and his father. His father is a man of few words, which is unhelpful. So far he's backed everything I have said and only really chosen to say you have the intelligence of a pair. Update 2. Ollie gave us Bree's parents' email address to send an email to, but before using that I asked him to video chat Bree with me there, and then I could ask Bree to please get her parents so I can talk to them about this and tell her that if they were going to continue to refuse, then I would be blocking all contact to Ollie and communication until this is resolved. I told Ollie this before the call. At first he flipped out about it, but it was this or I cut communication completely. I do think he understood that it is not okay that her parents are speaking to me through minors, and he said himself he would like us to talk to each other. Bree joined the call and hung up when she saw I too was there. Ollie called back a few times and she didn't answer. She asked via text why I wanted to talk to her, and Ollie told her that I wanted to speak to her mother, and if we didn't resolve the communication issue then all contact would be ended until her parents made contact with us and we make a plan for the next few months, including DNA, and then birth arrangements. Said that if the baby is his we will travel there for the birth and first few weeks after. He told her that I personally think it probably is his baby, but I want to be sure and make sure everything is done right from the start. Well, Bree blocked him with a reply, and he is totally heartbroken, not eating, sitting in his room all day and night, not mad at me surprisingly, very, very sorry for him and to us, sad about it all, and I think regretful. He even asked me if there was a way to undo it for himself. I haven't talked about signing over rights, a male abortion his father called it, because I think he's just upset right now. A mutual friend of Bree and Ollie's here in our hometown showed him a few posts she has made in the last 24 hours. Things like "it's you and me against the world baby girl" and memes about deadbeat dads. She also announced the pregnancy, which she hadn't done yet, and the post had some single mother facts and quotes. Ollie's friends knew about the situation, and a few were under the impression he had dumped her and the baby going by the posts, but when he explained that what had happened, they all rallied for him in the comments. "I said not to, and now she's blocked them, and we can't see what she has posted. This is just a nightmare. I have had a plan personally, not set, but something I wanted to talk to her parents about, but I don't even want to waste my time at this point." Ollie gave us Bree's parents' email address to send an email to with said plan. Basically, Bree does DNA blood test. We will pay the full $1,500 for it. If it is his baby, we can book flights and plan to be there for the first month. I'll stay too with Ollie, maybe even the whole family, and then we can also work on a parenting plan and getting into mediation for a judge to sign off on it. Ollie's father and I spilt for the first 7 months of his life, so we have done this before and we know the process. But at this point I think I will just leave it to settle before sending an email. Update 3. Also added information, her due date from what we know of September 22nd. She was here from December 20th to Jan 7th and saw Ollie December 21st and 22nd and January 4th and 5th. Never overnight. I asked Ollie when did this happen and he said January 4th was the only time, which makes more sense as they were in public gathering otherwise. They were at a mutual friend's birthday that night but never stayed overnight. I have had 5 kids and I know the dates are too close to figure it out that way. Update 4. I spoke to Bree's biological father, lives in this town, who had no idea about any of this. "Before you come for me, there was no known DV or anything. I felt I had run out of options at this point and I just wanted a way to contact them." Bree's mother then made contact, agreed to the blood test if we paid for it. Ollie and Bree spoke again and Bree asked to come here for a holiday and have an ultrasound with him to prove dates in person. I agreed to this, but I may not be thinking straight with the stress we have all been under. She says she is 26 weeks, sent him a photo of her belly, which has grown, and told him there is no other option but him to be the father, that the ultrasound had to go by her last period date and she didn't remember, so she went by her app and it was the period before. That's why the dates are out on the scan. I asked if she had a physical booklet of pregnancy notes or something because I know from experience that they have all the confirmed information on them, but she said everything is digital with her doctor and I didn't want to push because it's not my medical info. I'm wondering if I do just fly her out here on my own terms. Her mother agreed, and do the blood and ultrasound here and put an end to it all. Update 5. We all come to a travel arrangement. We paid for Bree to fly out and her father was paying for the ticket home. Bree was supposed to fly to us this morning and stay for 6 weeks total, flying back sometime in August. Her father's in charge of that flight. She was staying with us over these next few weeks while we do our annual July 4th family vacation for a week and then a couple more weeks back here at home for the ultrasound, blood test. This was decided together, both families, because Bree and Ollie would like to have some kind of positive experience, memories during the pregnancy, and obviously if baby wasn't as Bree would be taken to her father's, and we would be finished with it all. But she never turned up for her flight. She texted the night before that the doctor did not recommend she should not travel as she is at risk of preterm labor due to her age, and her severe morning sickness makes her only be able to tolerate pineapple juice, so she is needing to be hospitalized and maybe even deliver early. This is on top of a group photo that included Bree, obviously pregnant in a tight tee, hugging the boy she was dating in her new town, his hand on her belly. It was quickly removed from her story when Ollie asked. I think it was intentional to make him jealous. I am done. I do not believe her or her parents. I have contacted a lawyer and therapist. I will not be updating again until I know the outcome of the DNA test that I assume will not be done until after the baby is born, since I was told today I cannot force her to have while pregnant. If this baby is Ollie's and my grandchild, I am willing to move Bree here and have her live with us. It has no chance and will continue to ruin my son's life from afar. Alright, I know I said I'd go quiet until the paternity results, but things have gotten so head-spinningly complex, and I think I need to document a bit of the latest in hopes that somewhere, someone can relate or at least appreciate the sheer lunacy of real life. First, after I'd talked with a lawyer and therapist, honestly, I felt like I was assembling an Avengers team at this point. We dropped entirely out of Bree's and her mother's orbit. No more texts, no replies, nothing from their side since the missed flight, except for an odd, passive-aggressive "hope everything goes well for you" from Bree's stepfather to my husband. That was the final straw. I honestly started focusing inward on my own household, working with the therapist to help Ollie through the grieving process, which is what it started to resemble after he was dumped, blocked, and made into an online villain for about a week. We were on day 4 of this when Ollie got an anonymous DM request on Instagram. The message just said, "I found your number in Bree's phone. You need to know some stuff. Plaza, don't tell her." And then, boom, proceeded to send a barrage of screenshots, group chat convos among Bree's Newtown friends, including both the other boyfriend and, apparently, a third party she'd been flirting with. Small town drama is wilder than Netflix could ever script. One of the chats, this anonymous source claimed, was literally Bree and this other boy counting down weeks and joking about their practice family. There were even 2 messages about how different Ollie is, old city boyfriend, never gonna be able to help here. The timeline on all these chats covered nearly 6 weeks, some as recent as a couple of days after the missed flight. Ollie, being 15 and heartbroken but still stubborn as ever, demanded we ignore these as outright fakes, but the dates and the usernames all checked out. I had to sit with him while he went through them all, slowly realizing just how much this had not been about him or any true love story. He ended up crying, full on, quietly, in that face-hiding way that kills you as a parent. We called his therapist back in for an emergency consult, which, by the way, was probably the best money I've spent this month. Meanwhile, Bree's mother was posting more cryptic Facebook posts, mostly about us versus the haters, my strong daughter, etc., and I admit, my curiosity got the better of me. I did the unthinkable and reached out via a comment, not my proudest moment, but rage sometimes wins, just a short, I hope she's healthy and happy. We're here if you want to talk about next steps. Less than an hour later, I got an absolutely unhinged, novella-length FB message directly from Bree's stepdad, who accused our family, me personally, shocker, of trying to manipulate a vulnerable girl, threatened involving CPS if we kept harassing, and, they trotted out the big guns here, said that our request for a DNA test was proof of a callous, privileged worldview. Again, mind you, after they said they'd do it and just after Bree's father paid for the return flight. After that message, I decided to finally try to get answers directly. I called Bree's biological father again, the one in our city, explained what had happened, and apologetically asked if he'd heard from her or her mom. Turns out, he hadn't, but he had just been contacted by a family lawyer on their side, who wanted his formal stance in case custody issues came up. This man has not seen Bree in over a year. He was absolutely floored and told us he wants to be included for whatever steps come. I met him in person for coffee. We worked out an interim solution. Let's wait for the actual birth, then request the DNA test through a legal mediator. If it's Ollie's, then all three of us, my husband, myself, and Bree's father, ask for a formal custody and visitation hearing on neutral ground. He offered to pay half of legal costs and pushed for a formal prenatal mediation if possible. I finally felt some sanity creeping back. Meanwhile, the digital things keep coming. Bree's friend, mutual with Ollie, some screenshots where Bree posted our beautiful girl and I got each other, but also leaked a DM to one of her town friends saying, trying to make the city dad's life actually hard for once. He's not used to not getting his way lol. Overly dramatic, but also, for a 15-year-old, basically textbook. Ollie has taken a massive step back from social media and started re-engaging with his own life. He started biking with neighbors, is helping with our youngest's bedtime, and, here is the twist I never saw coming, he started to open up to us about not wanting to pursue custody if the baby is his. He said, I just want to help in the right way. I don't want her or her parents in my life though. I just want the baby, and to help, and to not make it a huge drama show. I mean actually co-parent, not move or fight. That's honestly the most maturity I've seen from Ollie in a long time. I still have to hide the odd laugh at his dad's running intelligence of a pair commentary, which has become a family meme in group chat. Yesterday, Bree's aunt, yes, aunt, who barely speaks to the family but is friend of a friend with me, called. She is, for lack of a more tactical word, worried. She told me that Bree's mental health has been rough, that her new circle is unstable, and that she's been experimenting with different stories depending on who's listening. There are multiple people in Bree's town who believe the father is the other boy, birthday group hug photo guy, and at least 3 people have stories about her not being totally sure. Her aunt said that she doesn't think Bree is lying out of malice but is desperate to not lose her mom's approval, and perhaps equally desperate for someone to care for her for real. As heartbreaking as that is, it made me double down on planning support for the baby and for Ollie, not for Bree's family drama. Aunt gave me her number in case temper's cool and some neutral person is needed. So, our current status, sitting on our hands, gathering receipts, documenting everything. Bree is supposedly still at risk for early labor. My lawyer says, with all this, we'll have a decent shot at requesting legitimate, court-ordered mediation and DNA, even if we're not invited. Ollie is back to therapy, back to being a mopey, slightly wiser teen. I am emotionally drained, feel like I'm in witness protection with our communication lockdown, and have had 3 separate neighbors ask if everything is okay with Ollie after hearing some of Bree's town friends sharing the most outlandish rumors imaginable. End note, my biggest win is that, for once, Ollie told me last night, thanks, Mom. I can see now why you wanted to wait for the test. I nearly hugged him into next week. We're still dreading September, and it is still an out-of-body roller coaster, but at least it finally feels like we're moving toward real answers, and maybe, just maybe, a less insane future. Update 6, the calm before the storm was an absolute lie. I started this thinking things couldn't realistically escalate further, but apparently we're living in a soap opera that never got cancelled. While I was busy quietly collecting receipts and holding my family together with duct tape and caffeine, everything kept evolving at a breakneck pace, only now with new players, plot twists, and yes, several unhinged emails. First, let's back up 1 week. Ollie has largely detached from Bree's drama, focusing instead on finishing school projects, miracle, and picking up hours helping coach his younger brother's soccer team. He seems, dare I say, almost happy again? Our therapist has declared it a positive dissociation phase, and I decided to just let him exist as a regular 15-year-old for a week. However, while doing precisely that, I got a certified letter from a law office in Bree's mom's state. Inside, a request for amicable resolution of child support antepartum, yep, before the baby's even born, plus a suggestion that if Ollie didn't accept emotional co-responsibility, they'd seek a default finding in family court after birth. They included a copy of the group photo with the other boy's hand on Bree's belly, as character evidence that the boy, not Ollie, the other boy, was attempting to interfere in family relations. I actually laughed out loud at how bonkers this was. I called my lawyer immediately, who agreed this was a scare tactic with no standing, but also said strap in, copy everything, and don't delete so much as a text from your phone. We started formally recording every interaction, just in case. This came in handy, as you'll soon see. That's when things really turned. Bree's biological father, who, until now, had just wanted to do what's right, showed up on my doorstep with, wait for it, a USB flash drive. He said, "You're probably going to want this." On it were video calls he'd recorded between himself and Bree, where she directly admits she doesn't know who the father is. She names Ollie, the other boy, and adds, "I just wish my mom would stop picking fights with everyone." The calls were timestamped over the last month, as the story kept shifting. We had a long family meeting that night, me, Ollie, my husband, and, at our urging, the biological dad, who, turns out, is just overwhelmed, not malicious. We decided to stay firmly non-confrontational with Bree's family, to let reality do the talking when the time comes. But the universe wasn't done. 3 nights later, at 10:45 p.m., my husband's phone rang. It was Bree, not her mom, not her stepdad, but Bree herself, in tears. She was calling from her dad's, in our town, having shown up late after a big fight at home. Apparently, she'd been locked out, told go to your city dad if you want to be with your old friend so bad. All of this after she'd apparently confessed the whole mess to her mom, including the "I don't know who the dad is" bombshell. She asked if we could come get her so she could talk to Ollie. After a long, careful conversation, we agreed she could come over with her dad for a late-night cup of tea, and under all the supervision. The conversation turned instantly gut-wrenching. Bree was scared, overwhelmed, and, watching her with Ollie, more vulnerable than I'd ever seen her in her years of drama. She didn't know who the father was, didn't want to ruin anyone's life, and just desperately wanted out of the tug-of-war between her mom and stepdad. Her dad, who has obviously made mistakes but is aggressively stepping up now, asked if we could somehow help her get long-term counseling until the baby comes and help organize a joint mediation. Even Ollie, through his hurt, agreed to be supportive, if she and her mom would stop with threats, online drama, and the twisted narratives. Bree's response, "I just want to be safe, I don't care whose baby it is. But I want people to just stop telling me what's going to happen to me." After they left, her father took her to a crisis intake counselor the following morning. Thank goodness, everything shifted. Suddenly, her mother sent a rush of texts, half furious, half apologetic, then back to furious, demanding why I broke the rules by taking Bree in, accusing us of poisoning her against family. But when I showed her dad's direct communication with us, plus the audio log of Bree's admission to uncertainty, things cooled, slightly. Now, both families, yours truly, my husband, Ollie, Bree, both her dads, are officially, awkwardly, and tentatively engaged in group therapy and legal mediation. The ground rules: 0 drama online, 0 speaking through kids, 0 fighting about the DNA test. Every plan is on hold, but for once the adults are talking to adults, and Bree is safe, still fragile, but safe. The group therapy start was, predictably, a mess. Bree's mom pointed fingers, my husband snarked, couldn't resist, but the therapist kept it moving. We agreed on the following, in writing: the DNA test is happening ASAP after the baby's birth, no debate. Bree will stay locally in our town until delivery or until her own therapist says otherwise, with her father or, if needed, with us. No posts about the baby or the situation until there are answers. All parties get a say in long-term parenting plans. The baby is due in 5 weeks. Bree is still struggling, but is visibly relaxed. Ollie, for the first time in months, seems at peace. Bree's friends in both towns are dropping the wild rumors now that the truth is coming out, though, hilariously, some are convinced Ollie's become like, super old and wise or whatever, his ego needed that. So now, it's just the waiting game, until a paternity result that may explode, or resolve, or both. We'll see. I don't know how this will end, except that this family saga is finally being controlled by the adults. For once, I'm not dreading September, I'm just hoping for peace, clarity, and, shockingly, a fresh start for everyone involved. If I ever write a parenting book, my first chapter will be called How to Survive a Small-Town Baby Paternity Battle Without Losing Your Mind, a memoir. Update 7, Plot Twists and Papas, the countdown. So, I truly thought we'd hit the upper limit of parental drama, but it turns out that entry was just an intermission. It's been just over 3 weeks, and if you can believe it, the emotional tempo of our lives ramped up another notch. Remember I said I wasn't dreading September? Yeah, ha. Apparently the universe took that as a challenge. First, Bree's due date is breathing down our necks, but she's still here in our city, rotating between her biological father's house and, strangely, a couple weekends at our place after her therapist recommended multiple safe, neutral homes. That's right. I went from reluctant maybe grandma to certified safe house mom, complete with 3 kids under 12 who think this is just a fun slumber party with a mysterious big kid who sleeps a lot. Meanwhile, the 6-year-old has started dramatically reading medical pamphlets aloud at the dinner table, and Ollie is eating it up because the only thing that draws attention away from his angst is his little siblings. My house is like a sitcom crossed with a high-stakes legal drama, so, the official adult alliance was truly put to the test. Group therapies become a staple. If the Olympics ever add sitting through high-tension Zoom sessions with people you used to low-key loathe, my medals are incoming. Somehow, the sessions started to help. Bree's mother finally broke the cycle of snark for an hour, and after a breakthrough involving about 10 Kleenex and one very patient therapist, she actually, publicly, acknowledged not just Ollie but me in a positive way. We all want what's best for Bree and the baby, no matter what. It's not quite peace, but it felt like the ceasefire after months in the trenches. Then the universe, because it cannot help itself, dropped another bomb. Monday afternoon, out of the blue, Bree goes into early labor. I prepped her hospital bag just in case, so score 1 for maternal paranoia. Her dad calls at 2:30 p.m. She's having contractions, it's not a drill. Cue me, flying with Bree to the hospital, Ollie with us because Bree wouldn't go unless Ollie went. The nurse, a seasoned, no-nonsense legend, handed me a clipboard, giving me the grandma or guardian eyebrow. For half an hour, I juggled paperwork, reassuring Ollie, and texting her mother, who was 4 hours out, en route from her small town, running on stress and a surprising level of politeness. After 12 very long, tense hours, baby S made her entrance. Bree's labor was not dramatic, in the medical sense, but the emotions in that room could have powered a small nation. Afterward, Bree just cried quietly, holding her daughter, and Ollie asked me, "What do I do now?" Big questions for a kid wearing a Nirvana shirt and struggling not to pass out from terror and adrenaline. Here's where the plot twists again. Mere hours later, within sight of Bree's mother, who finally made it and was much softer than I expected. Crises sometimes reveal people's better sides. I now believe the hospital social worker comes in. Apparently, they'd flagged the situation for counseling, since the paternity wasn't clear and both possible fathers were minors. Out of nowhere, they ask Ollie, gently but firmly, if he's comfortable staying involved, if he wants support, and then, and I was not ready for this, would you like to be there for the DNA testing tomorrow? There is a form, there is a protocol. Someone in admin actually knew what they were doing. So, for the record, we have a schedule, nurse-administered cheek swab, all parties present, results in 7 days. Just like that, all the circling drama now had a countdown. That night, Ollie lay on our couch, buried under 2 of his siblings and absolutely fried. He said, "I really want her to be mine, but I kind of hope she's not, so we don't have to fight forever." Then he started crying, the kind that's not from pain or regret but fear of the future and confusion for the girl he still loves, just not in the way he thought he did. Cue me, silently weeping behind the fridge door. In the next 3 days, our home became a pilgrimage for all the players. Bree's mom, emotional but dropped the antagonism, her dad, deep in protector mode, the baby's potential other father, escorted by his very tired mother, and, for some reason, 3 well-meaning teachers bearing care packages, presumably because news traveled in the local school WhatsApp like wildfire. My youngest keeps asking if the baby will stay forever, while the 2-year-old just shouts baby every time anyone walks in with something pink. Ollie stepped up in small, poignant ways. He offered Bree the playlist they'd made together at age 10, to play during her first night with the baby. He even sat with the other possible dad, and they quietly, awkwardly compared how did you know her? Stories. It was maybe the single most teenage boy moment I've ever seen, staring at the floor, muttering, "Yeah, that was a weird year," and both looking like they'd rather wrestle dragons than talk about feelings. Bree herself settled, somehow. She apologized, gasped, to Ollie for the lies and the way her mom handled things, said she never meant for things to get so huge, and that all that really matters now is that her daughter is safe and loved, no matter who put her here. For a 15-year-old, that's wisdom hard won. And for a wild, shining moment, there was peace. So here's where we stand. We're 6 days from learning, officially, whose baby S is. Our house is exhausted, tentatively hopeful, and full of logistical chores, baby formula runs, the world's messiest hand-packed diaper bag, and a mashed-together support circle that would make a social worker cry tears of joy, or horror, depending on the hour. If S turns out to be Ollie's, we'll keep working with Bree and both families to create a sane, stable co-parenting plan, with therapy, boundaries, the whole toolkit. If she's not, we'll grieve the future we'd braced ourselves for, and try to help Ollie process what it means to step back gracefully. Everyone in this house is, bizarrely, a little older and a little gentler than they were 3 months ago. I'm sitting here writing this while the new baby dozes in her daytime home, aka the nest of blankets on my living room couch, while Bree naps, Ollie does his homework, and my husband emerges from the kitchen to quietly say, "So when do we make the next pot of coffee? Or should we just set up a drip directly to the living room?" Sometimes, the climax of a story isn't chaos, it's a breath. And for the first time since December, I actually believe we might be okay. Whatever comes next.